Okay, so now we're back and we're about to start our cornbread dressing. Okay, now I'm very well aware that everyone have their own unique way of making their dressing and what they put in it and what they add, adjust as they go along. But I have a traditional way of how I make my dressing. And over the years, I've made different versions: sausage dressing, apple dressing, cornbread dressing, different types of cornmeal. And so this time I wanted to basically just make just the plain regular dressing, and I want to share that with you how I do that. There's a twist to this one. Some people say that cornbread is the straight way to go. But in this particular dressing, I have added, or I'm going to add, is some cut up croutons that I made myself. So, and it's out of regular bread. You just brown it, and that keeps it fluffy and gives it that consistency where your dressing will not be gummy or dried out the next day. You know, if you ever experienced that, usually that's why. Because cornbread is in itself is a coarse nature, and it has to have something in it to keep it lubricated where it can stay moist. Okay, so that's usually the reason why cornbread dressing is kind of gummy, or I should say dried out the next day. So I'm going to share with you a little technique that I use to keep mine moist. Okay, all right. So, I have my cornbread here. Okay, I did use the standard cornbread meal. You can use the meal of your choice. I use yellow cornmeal. I don't use Jiffy in dressing. I've never had a good experience with it. I've tried it, different methods. Seen other people do, it just don't work for me. So I stick to what I know that works. Okay. All right. So we're gonna cut this up and we're gonna put it together right here. Use this large pan just to mix it in. It is not the pan that I'm going to actually bake the dressing in or store it in or serve it in. It's just a pan that I put together, everything together. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to add in our bread here that I was talking about. Okay, go ahead and add that in. And then we're going to add in our seasonings, okay? And one of the things that a lot of people use is they use giblets, or what they call chicken livers and things like that are in their food. In my household, it's good to use it in terms of seasoning the food, but no one eats it, and they really pick around it and throw it away. So I just use it to make my stock primarily. Okay, and then I take it out. I don't put it in the dressing because they don't like it in the dressing. So to each household its own. So, well, they say to each its own. All right, so we're gonna get started with adding all of our seasonings here. And I use a variety of seasonings, the different type of peppers. And I don't measure because I know exactly what I'm looking for. I've been doing this a while. So I just add it as I go. If I were to say to you who are doing this for the first time, or you're trying to learn how to make homemade dressing, you could use 2 teaspoons of different seasonings, okay? And that should cover it. And at the end, you can go back and taste it before you bake it in the oven to see if you need to add any other or additional seasonings that you might like, okay? This is some smoked paprika. And it's very powering, so you just a few dashes of that. Okay, you got your garlic powder. You go through with that. You have your onion powder. And you're going to be adding onion and garlic to the dressing. So, you know, it's just an enhancer, really. And then you have your cilantro. Okay, just a few sprinkles of that. You have a little thyme. Just a little touch-up of that. Okay. And then you have your poultry seasoning. Okay. And some basil leaves. Alright. And some parsley. And then black pepper, ground black pepper if you have it. If you don't, you can use the regular. Okay. Black pepper that's in the can. And we use a lot of heat here in our food, so in terms of that. And then you have your salt. I use pink salt. I like the flavor over the regular table salt. So alright, and lastly, sage. Okay. Now on the sage, I do measure it. Because it is very strong in its flavor. So I'm very careful about how much I put in there. Alright, and then we're going to add in our herbs, okay? And that is going to be your bell peppers and celery and your onions and things like that. So I'm going to be adding in that now. Okay. All right. And I'm going to add in the celery also here. Add some of that in. And let's see, we have our green onion as well. Okay, adding some of that. And again, you can season this according to what you like. Okay, I use 2 stalks of the green onion, so that's what I use on that. Fresh ground garlic, okay. Maybe 2 tablespoons of that. Not too much of that. All right, so see, and lastly, our onion. Okay. And this is the purple and white onion combined. And it's very, very strong. So don't take a lot of that. All right. I think that's enough of that. Okay, and then we have our cream of chicken here. Add that in. And with it being just one skillet of cornbread, I use just 1 can of this. Okay. I don't put eggs in my dressing. Some people do. I don't. I put my eggs in my cornbread. Okay. And bake it that way. That way it keeps the cornbread together. And so, because I don't like the idea of putting eggs in dressing. I just don't like the idea of it. So I don't put it in there. Put it in my cornbread. Alright, so, okay, so we got that done. I'm just going to toss this, get everything combined. Smells really, really good. Really, really good. Okay. Making sure I get the cream of chicken mixed in there really good as well. Okay. Great, 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 great. Okay. Now we're going to add our stock in there. Mix that in there really good too. And you can use a chicken stock or you can use the turkey stock of whatever it is that you are going to be serving. You can use the stock from that. You're serving turkey, you put your turkey stock. If you're serving Cornish hens or baked chicken, you use the stock from that for your dressing. Okay. The rest of that on the end here. All right. All right. Now I'm going to do a taste test to see exactly what it and what you may need more of, or in the dressing. Okay. All right. Okay. Has enough pepper in there, that's for sure. Okay. Okay, need some more onion powder and garlic powder. And add some more complete. Okay. A little bit more of the smoked paprika, and I think that should do it, because everything else is good. All right, we're going to put this in the oven. Okay, and we're going to let it cook down. It should be about 45 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you exactly what that looks like once it is finished. Okay.